Hi, I'm Matt Hernandez, and this is Book Chat with You. In this and most every episode, I try to make this be a conversation about literature with you. Well, I don't know when I will put this online, the video version of this online, but whenever you see it, you will know why I did not get a haircut for a long time and why I don't get haircuts very often. Today, we're looking at another short story by Carol Shields, Carol Shields Collected Stories, and we're looking at the story, The Metaphor is Dead, Pass It On. This, thankfully, is a very short story, only 3 pages. So short, in fact, that whenever I edit this and I like to show a few pages on screen, I like to read from some of this, I would not dare show any pages on screen because it might exceed fair use. Now, this short story is about a professor just giving a speech. It's called The Metaphor is Dead, Pass It On. And he uses all these metaphors to say that the metaphor is dead. The whole thing is kind of ironic. Is Carol Shields making fun of is Carol Shields making fun of, professors? Is she making fun of this kind of elitism? I mean, I watched a video about somebody calling out the gatekeeping in literature spaces. Is the professor making a joke? Some of those things kind of aren't clear. And I did this for a while, but I stopped doing this, kind of forgot to use a highlighter. And so this time I just used a highlighter, and I'm going to just read out some of these. So this first one, that dragooned double agent, that muddy mirror lit by the false flashing signal. Next, gates are open and the prisoner freed of his shackles. And these are all kind of describing the metaphor fleeting into obscurity, no longer needed. The next one, a virus introduced into a healthy bloodstream and maintained by a lordly shrewdness of convention. The next one, a wavelet graduated to turbulent ocean, and the sinews of metaphor became. The next one, the metaphor grew like a polyp on the clean chamber of poetry, whose friendly narrative lines had previously lain as simply as knives and forks in a kitchen drawer. Next, grown fat with simile and the lace of self-indulgence. Next, instead, every object is that frosty little pellet of assertion that sleeps in the folds of newly minted nip-wasted sentence. Next, the cleanly gnawed bones of noun, the powerful hamstrings of verb. And finally, the last sentence, and now, gentle people, the chair will field questions. It's, I think I need practice at my literary analysis a little bit. And that's not what I want a lot of this to be. I mean, in the last video, the last podcast, I was kind of like you're analyzing a genre a little bit. And, I just want to talk about stories with you and analyze parts of this. And maybe I need a bit of practice. I hope that I got all those correct, trying to select metaphors describing the death and metaphor, which is all kind of ironic. Is she making fun of the professor? Is the professor making a joke? Maybe later on I'll kind of know. And that's just what this whole story is. Are we in on the joke? I don't know. I like the idea of it being anti-elitism a little bit. I kind of like that. What else can I really say? Imagine whenever we're overindulgent, maybe arguing politics or something. I shouldn't say that because, I don't really want to talk politics or something, but it's like, you feel like you have such a great idea about something and just go on and on and on, whatever that might be, Maybe we get these deepisms at various times in our lives and we feel like we can express them to others or something like that. And this professor does that, I mean, imagine all the work that goes into getting like a PhD. Then once you get it, once you reach that highest plateau of education, you get a so-called terminal degree. And then what else does one have to do? And then you feel all happy and then all your ideas are kind of deep or whatever. But I don't have much more to say. I mean, this is a very short story. It'd be quite humorous if you were able to find this story somehow and read it and what we can sort of discuss with it. You can try to spend some while dissecting this, and it could be a fun literary game to find somebody else and just play with it and change a sentence here and add another metaphor, simile, something like that onto here and just play around with this. But with that said, I'm thankful that this one is very short in a while because I would need practice with that. And maybe I've had an extra sentence here that was not necessary. So, yeah, that's about it. And soon from now, I would like to maybe start another podcast on comic books, especially on one franchise in particular. But maybe since I have some of the Spider-Man comics leading up to a brand new day, the 2008-ish, 2009-ish brand new day, maybe I can come out with that in a timely manner. So with that said, I'd love to hear what you think about the story and have a wonderful day. Bye.